afternoon, everyone. My name is Melissa, and I'm one of our PastPerfect online specialists. Today, we are going to discuss how to customize your search results listings. You can update how the list of results on your site are sorted, as well as what field the sort order is based on. We'll also show you how to modify the information that displays below each search result to show the beginning of the item's description, giving your visitors the information they need to determine whether an item is one they want to know more about. Since we are going to spend this class talking about search results, let's take a quick look at our sample site to make sure we're on the same page about what we're discussing. I'm on our sample page now, and I'm just going to go to keyword search. And I'm going to search for Rocky Pine Ranch. These 15 results are the search results. These results are what your visitor will look through to decide which items they want to learn more about. This page is what today's class is all about. Now that we're clear on that, let's dive right in. So what will we discuss today? We'll talk about why search results are important, what can be controlled about the search results, options for sorting your search results, options for search result additional text, and modifying field order for optimal search results. So why are search results important? Well, search results are the doorway to your collection items. You want to provide information that will give your visitors a good idea of what the item is about, helping them to decide if they want to learn more about it. I'm going to take a moment to demonstrate this idea using a concept near and dear to me, lunch. After all, this is a lunchtime lecture. So let's say you're going out for lunch and you have the choice of two menus. Your first is very basic. It lists 3 sandwiches and it gives you no additional detail. The next has more detail, including the price of each option. Which menu do you want to look through when you sit down to order your meal? Well, I would absolutely prefer the menu we're looking at now, the one that gives more detail about each option to help me make an informed decision. Search results on your site are no different. The more informative your search results, the easier time your visitors will have when deciding what items to learn more about. Let's take a look at 2 screenshots. These 2 examples are like our menus. The example on the left is like menu number 1, not very much detail. All we're told is that each item is a photograph and the collection that the photograph is in. The example on the right is like menu number 2. We get the title and date of each item, as well as a brief description. If I'm a researcher on the site, the search results on the right are going to be much more helpful to me than the search results on the left. So now we know that we want our search results to be informative, but what exactly can you control to make sure that they are informative? Well, the good news is that you can control a lot. You can control the information that acts as the result itself, the information that displays below each result, and the way that the results are sorted. So let's go back to our sample site, where we did a search for Rocky Pine Ranch a moment ago. The first thing we can see is that we received 15 results. Each result is broken down into an actual link connecting you to the item. This link consists of the first and second field you're sharing online. In this case, it is the title and the date. Below the link, we have a brief description of the item. This is actually the 3rd field that we're sharing online, and since our 3rd field is set to be description, that is why the description shows. There are other options for what displays here. We'll talk about them in a bit. And finally, we can see that our items are sorted alphabetically by the first field. How the items are sorted is actually the next topic we'll discuss. There are 3 options. We'll go through each. So to discuss our options for sorting search results, I do want to head to IMS, the Interface Management site. I'm already logged into IMS here. The information you need to log into IMS is on the welcome letter that was sent to you when your site was initially set up. If you can't find that letter, get in touch with us after class and we can send you a new one. There are 3 options for sorting our search results. We will talk about each briefly and then make the change to see them in action. You'll begin on the Site tab of IMS and find the option for Catalog Sort. Note that there is an option for Keyword Sort as well. We are going to talk about Catalog Sort specifically since there are 3 options for Catalog Sort. There are only 2 options for Keyword Sort. Once we understand how Catalog Sort works, we will also understand how Keyword Sort works. The first option for sorting our results is random. This will automatically generate search results in a randomized order. This order will be reset each time the page is refreshed. Next is first field. This will sort your items based on the first field you're sharing online. It will not sort them based on the first populated field, so remember to pick a first field that is consistently used. And finally, we can sort our items based on relevance. Relevance sorting is based on a number of factors, including the frequency the word or phrase appears across your records, where it falls on the page, and the number of fields where the word or phrase appears. So I'm going to begin by setting my option to random and clicking Update Museum, and then opening my site. I'll go into Objects and do a search for Hilton. And we'll see that I receive 3 results: the candlestick, the flower sifter, and the quilt. If I do my search again, I can see I actually received the same order. It's given me the same randomized order. If I go a 3rd time, it changes the order. The candlestick is still first, but now the quilt and the flower sifter have changed order. So as you can see, when setting your sort order to be random, every time you do your search, you're getting a different order of the results. The results are the same, it's the same 3 items, but the order they are presented to you is different. I'll go back to IMS, still on the tab called Site, and next to Catalog Sort, I'll now pick First Field. I'll click Update Museum to save my changes, and then open Website Link. I'll head back to Objects and do my search again for Hilton. And this time, I received the same 3 results, but they are sorted by the first field: candlestick, quilt, sifter, comma, flower. And no matter how many times I do this same search, I'll receive the same 3 results, always in the same order. I'll go back into IMS and change my catalog sort to the last option of relevance. I'll update Museum to save the changes, and then click Open Website Link. I'll head back into Objects and do my same search for Hilton. Again, I receive the same 3 results, but this time they're presented to me in the most relevant order. The most relevant item is put on top: the candlestick, and then the flower sifter, and then the quilt. And again, no matter how many times I do this search, these items will be presented to me in the same order, the order putting the most relevant item on top. Each of these options does give a different experience for your visitors, and which you select will depend on the type of searching experience you want them to have. Next, we'll discuss the options for what will display below your search results. I'll head back into IMS, still on the tab called Site, and I'll look for the section called Search Results Text. There are three options. Again, I'll discuss each briefly, and then we'll make the change for each so I can show you how they function. The first option is highlighted word. This will give some context for what you are searching for below the search results. The next option is blank, which means nothing will display below the search results. This gives the page a bit of a minimalistic aesthetic, but it's often not something that most visitors will find helpful since it does limit the information presented to them. And finally, we have third field. This displays the third field you're sharing online. It will be truncated at 450 characters. You may ask, why not the first or second field to display? Well, the first or second field will always display by default as part of the search result as the link. So that's why we give you the option to share the third field. So let's start with highlighted word. I'll click Update Museum and then Open Website. And I'm going to go to Keyword Search and search for Rocky Pine Ranch. You'll see that I received 15 results, and the phrase Rocky Pine Ranch appears in green below each. This is because we've selected the option for highlighted word, which will highlight the word or phrase that we searched for. I'll go back into IMS and change my option to blank. I'll click Update Museum and then open my website and do my same search. I received the same 15 results, but now you can see below the link, nothing displays. I'll go back to IMS a final time and change my search results text to third field. I'll go back to my site and go to Keyword Search and do my final search for Rocky Pine Ranch. And you'll see I received the same 15 results, and this time a brief description about the item does display below the link. I'm going to go back through the three tabs now, just so we can see the differences side by side. We started with highlighted word, where you can see the word or phrase highlighted below the search results. Next, we did blank, which will show nothing below the results. And finally, we selected third field, which displays a brief description of the item below the result, as long as description is indeed the third field you've chosen to share online. Finally, I'd like to note that no matter what selections you make, either to the search results text or your sort order, the results you receive will always be the same. The settings have no impact on what is returned. It only impacts how the returned results are displayed. And you can see that by noting we received 15 results for our keyword search for Rocky Pine Ranch, regardless of what the sort order is and regardless of what the third field option is. So I'm going to close these up and head back to IMS. And I'm going to make sure my catalog sort is set back to first field and that my search results text is set to third field. We feel that these settings work well for most collections, so if you are unsure where to start, you may want to begin with these settings. When selecting the settings you want, we encourage you to think about your specific collection and the experience you want your visitors to have. Changing these settings in IMS is quick and easy. It does not require you to create and upload data to your site. All of the changes are made here directly in IMS. We encourage you to test out the various settings and also how they work with each other to see what you like best. The final topic I'd like to discuss today is modifying field order for optimal search results. We know that first and second fields are important for everyone because they display as the link to your item. If you opt to have the third field display below your search results, then the third field takes on special importance too. Let's talk about how to make good selections for your first three fields. When it comes to field order, not all fields are created equal. As we've discussed, the first two fields that display will be the link to your item regardless of what sort order you select. Because of this, you want to make sure that your first two fields are consistently populated, descriptive, but not too long. Remember, these two fields are the basis for what will display and be the menu your visitors will select from when deciding what to learn more about. So pick fields that are meaningful to your visitors. Here are some suggestions for possible first, second, and third fields. For first field, we suggest considering object name, title, or creator. Object name is a good choice because you know it is required by PastPerfect, so you can be sure it is consistently populated. Good options for second field include collection or date. And a good option for the third field is description. Do note that fields which would work well as first fields would also work quite well as second fields. As you look at this list, you may notice that object ID is not listed. In the museum community, object ID is often one of the most important pieces of information about an item, and yet we aren't suggesting that you put it front and center on your site. Why is that? Well, although object ID may be helpful to have on your site, there are two reasons we do not advise using it as your first or second field. First, as a museum staff member, object ID means a lot to you. But think about your visitors. Does object ID mean anything to them? Probably not. Object ID is not descriptive enough to help visitors as they review the search results and decide what to learn more about. Object ID is also not the best option if you're interested in showing up in Google results. Google is just like a visitor to your site. It looks at the first information on the page to decide if the page is interesting and important enough to index. To Google, object ID is just a string of random numbers. Google is more likely to index your site and return your site in search results if you use a descriptive field like title, creator, or object name instead of object ID. We aren't saying that you should exclude object ID from your site. You certainly should include it if you want. We just urge you to reconsider if you were thinking about putting it as your very first field. Here's an activity you can do after class that may help you select fields for position 1 and 2. We encourage you to wait until after class to go through this because we don't want you missing the rest of today's webinar. We do even have a worksheet on our lunchtime lecture page to help with this activity, so be sure to check that out after class. So here's what you'll do. Grab a pen and paper, and at the top, write objects. Make a list of all the fields you use when doing data entry for your object items. This list may be long or it may be short. Either way is okay. Cross off fields you don't think will be helpful for your visitors to see on their search results screen, or fields that are potentially very long. The fields that you're left with are the ones you should consider selecting from for your first fields. Repeat this process for your photos, archives, and library. Note that you may still include fields that you cross off the list online, they just won't be in the first or second position. And a final note about field order. The 4 main record types, objects, photos, archives, and library, can all have their own fields and their own field order. The same fields and field order may not make sense for all record types. For example, Title may be a wonderful first field to use for library items, where you know that 90% of them have the title field populated. However, if you know that object items often do not have the title field populated, it wouldn't be a good choice to use for objects. It's okay to have different fields and different field orders for your different record types. After this webinar, we hope that you will look at your fields in field order to evaluate if you have the best possible options for your specific collection. As our final part of class today, I want to take a few minutes to review how to update fields in field order so that if you decide a change is needed to your site, you'll have the tools you need to move ahead. I'm going to open my PastPerfect program, and from the main menu, go into PastPerfect Online. I'll click Next on my welcome screen. I'm going to add a field for objects. I'm going to add the date field. I'll find it under my Available Objects Fields list and double-click on it. I can see it's been moved over to my list of fields to include and been put at the bottom. I would prefer to have it as the second field. So how will I move it? I will click on it once to select it, and then click and hold this little gray box and drag the field up to the placement I want it to have. When I'm happy, I'll let go of the mouse, and the field order has been changed. I also want to make sure that description is my third field. It's already selected to go online. I just need to change its order. So I click on it once to select it, click and hold the little gray box right next to it, and drag the field up and let go once I'm happy with the placement. Next, I would need to create my files using this button right here. And once that is complete, I would go to the final step to upload my data and images to website. Once that upload is complete, I will see my new field order online. That covers the basics of modifying your field order and search results settings to help your visitors search your online collections as effectively as possible. If you have any questions about this or anything else related to your PastPerfect online site, you can contact us using the information on the screen. We're always happy to talk with you.